everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my craft room. I'm Shellie Geigle with JS Hobbies and Crafts, and I have a new mini album tutorial for you, so let's take a look at it. So this is my Wild Asters mini album. This is 6 3/4 inch by 8.5, and it has a finished size of about 2 3/4 inch spine. It came out so nice. So one of the things on this is we added a chipboard cover, and I hope that you like the design of this. This is based off a Magic of Oz album, custom album I did for a client, and I thought this would be wonderful to do as a everyday album. So if you are a beginner, do not hesitate to not try, because I make album making super simple. We do it step by step, and beginners are making my albums all the time. So you can open this up and place a photo so it can actually view through here if you'd like, or you can just leave it. So let's get inside of it. The inside of the album is quite beautiful with all these gorgeous colors. These are some of my favorite colors here. One thing about this is if you don't want this chunky of an album, to me it's not too chunky. I actually enjoy the extra flowers and all that. You can opt out to doing this thick of a flower and doing a flatter style flower. So right here we have an area where we can slide picture mats back behind. And this is magnetic, and it opens up, and a wonderful place to plant a photo right there. You can even place one right here. And we'll just bring that down, and what we have down here is a generous size pocket, and I've got several picture mats as well as little tags in here. Now I do picture mats according to my taste. There's 4x6, there's 5x7s, there's smaller ones that fit my wallet, and so forth. At the end of the tutorial, when we start finishing up, I do kind of give some examples on picture mats and how I use them, and it might help you too. Here we have a flip out, and we can place a photo right here. We have a place here, here, and in here this is really fun. This is a waterfall, and I did conserve paper, and at the end of the tutorial you'll still have more paper even after all these picture mats. Now one thing is, I wasn't sure because of this design, and there's a ton of fold outs and pockets and all that, if we would have to maneuver in any solid colored cardstock. You'll see how many picture mats I got in this, and I still have about a few sheets left of paper to make more if I wanted, so I did not add in any solid colored cardstock. Now right here is a side waterfall, and I did conserve paper, so if you don't like the black, you can always cut pieces of your decorative paper for your background and place on in here. And there's a lot of places here, all these wonderful places to put photographs. Now this is free floating picture mat. I just stuck right on in there. Down here, this will flip up, but we did reserve the spot so that we can tuck things back behind like a nice photo, or place a photo on this, whatever it is that you would like. And this does flip up, so there's another place here for a photo. If you'd like to place a tag or another photo right here, you can do that too. Over here we have a generous size pocket in the back and a small one up front that you're able to get some smaller tags and photo mats in, whatever it is that you would like to do. And back here I have a larger picture mat. Now, I could have put a 4x6 in there, a 5x7. I just haven't had the opportunity to finish up with my picture mats or place my photos, of course. Here what we have is a magnetic flip. and it comes out like a folder. So you can place photos here and here. Now when we built this so that we can still slide things back behind. And so that's kind of like what I have back there. This is magnetic as well, and this will fold out. And you can place a photo here. Over here you can place photos, and we can even tuck back behind this, which I did. Over here we have a pocket, and I just have some picture mats in there and this tag. And here we have a little tuck area for a tag if you'd like, and a large side pocket for the larger picture mats. Over here we have a small side pocket that we can get pictures in and out from the side. And I have some larger picture mats here and a tag. I just love these colors. I really do. Going to our next page, what we have is a magnetic flip and a pocket. So this is our little thing that holds us down. In here I just placed some tags. And we'll get right on into this. And we have a side pocket, and I have some picture mats in there. Now this is a flip, and it will flip up so you can kind of see inside. And we can also tuck things back behind. This will open up again, and we have this wonderful spot. We can place a photo here, journal, whatever it is that we would like to do. Over here, there's a wonderful spot to place a couple photos, and we did leave it so we can still slide back behind here if needed. But we also made it so we had a large side pocket. And I just stuck a couple picture mats in there. And we'll move on to the next page, and what we have here is a large pocket. And all I did here was make a folder with my leftovers. And then I put those in there. All right, here. Now this is a fun one. This is where we can place a photo or journal, whatever we want right there. We flip it up and there's a place for a photo. Down here, this is magnetic as well, and you can flip that up and more places here. And let's move it back into frame. This is magnetic and it opens up. And there's a place right here to place a photo, one here, or just one large one. Over here we have our generous size side pocket. We got some picture mats and a tag. This will open up again. And look, we have more spots. Now I wanted to use this print because I like using the wallet size and placing them boom, boom, journal, journal, or boom, 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 boom on those. So that is something I wanted to do. I think that's kind of fun. If you don't use wallet size, right here to place a large photo would be wonderful. And let's just say that was a photo. It would look really nice framed. And this opens up magnetic, and again, lots of spaces for photos, and this is just a free floating tag in case you wanted to use that there. And we'll just slip everything back in there, and we'll move on to the final pages. So here we are. We have this right here as a tuck, and I have a small little tag, medium tag, and I have this folder I created with the paper, and inside decorative paper, placing a photo if I wanted to journal on the other side, or just two photos. Back here is a generous size pocket. I have a photo mat, and I have another folder, and I forgot to put paper on the inside, but over here is our last page, and what we did was we created this picture mat together. We also made it so we can slide picture mats back behind, and I just have a few here. And everything just kind of goes back in. So that is what we're going to be making today. And don't forget to download your free copy of the materials list and the pre-cutting and scoring guide. Let's begin by going over our materials list. Let's go over our materials list. So for me, I'm going to have 1 pack of 3/8 inch score tape and 1 pack of the 1/4 inch, so I can alternate between the two. Art glitter designer dries clear adhesive, and you'll want to get that metal tip. In this tutorial, because we have a lot of different flips and so forth, you'll want to get 2 packs of the basic gray magnets. And these are the large magnets. We'll be using 1 full one and part of the second pack. I decided to use some lace in here, and we got a bunch of new lace in, and I love it. So this one is called the Petite Eyelet. I also have the Petite Fringe. Oh my God, I'm in love with that. And we also have the Lattice Flower. It is absolutely gorgeous. The main ingredient to this mini album is the paper. Without this paper, it probably wouldn't have come out as good. This is the Heartfelt Creations Wild Aster collection. It is brand new out, and I fell in love with the colors. I love purples and all that, so I've already taken some sheets out to kind of play around with it, but you will see lots of pretty stuff in here. Lots of stuff for us to use, and I'm really excited about getting into this. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Anyway, this is what we will be using to create this album. We now carry the American Crafts 12 by 12, and they list it as an 80 pound. And there's 25 sheets in this, so it's a better buy than our other 85 pound that you only get 10 sheets in. But I will be using this, and it's the black. For the chipboard covers and spine, you're going to want to get 2 of the chipboard 12 by 12 size, and we'll cut it down. A third one is needed if you don't have any chipboard scraps. The third one, what we are going to need is a 6 by 6 piece, as well as several pieces. So check your stash. If you don't have any, then you'll want to get that third piece. So flowers, I'm going to be making myself, and Heartfelt Creations came out with the matching to this paper collection, the Wild Aster stamp and the die. And I will be using that. And as far as the inks I will be using, I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz Distress inks. And I have Seedless Preserves, Dusty Concord, Squeeze Lemonade, and for my leaves, Peeled Paint or Crushed Olive. Oh, I almost forgot. In our binding of our album, we're going to need some Tyvek. So you'll need a couple strips of Tyvek, and I sell them in the envelope form, and it is very durable. It's what's going to keep our album covers and spine from ever separating. You'll want to get some glossy accents. That is exactly what we need to help stiffen up and gloss up our flowers on the cover as well as the inside of our album. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you a basic technique on how to shape your flowers and how I'm inking them. I started doing that with my tutorials. If you don't have a flower shaping kit, or you're just getting into die cutting and you get these, they do have, and I believe we have some in our store still, but they're called the Flower Shaping Essentials Kit. What you get is a little molding mat, and you get a stylus with, I think you get 3 nibs. So these are part of that standard pack. Now, I like the Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit because I do a lot of flower shaping and so forth. And this one actually comes with all these different stylus nibs that are helpful in creating. It also comes with a larger molding mat. It is very well loved. And it comes with a smaller piercing mat. And here are all the nibs, and it's in this nice packet, little closable magnetic thing. You can just stick it on the shelf. You're gonna want some frills for the center of your flower. And these are my go-to. They're the lemon chiffon. Any color will work. We have a variety of colors in case that you need some frills. So just choose what you think would look best. I decided to incorporate one of the EK Tools butterfly punches. Now this one layers the butterfly, but any butterfly punch will do. I wanted to add some butterflies to my album. It's been a while. For our side closure, the Dritz hook and eye, and I am going to be using the nickel plated. However, the brass, the black, whatever will work. And 3 come to a pack, so you'll be able to have 2 for 2 other albums. I will be die cutting in this. However, if you're not a die cutter, if you're not using paper punches, do not worry, because those of us that like to die cut or punch our decorative trim, we add that after, so it doesn't mess up the tutorial for those of you that don't use it. I'm going to be using one of my all-time favorites here, Frame a Card Leafy Borders, and I love these dies. They come in a variety of different sizes. And my go-to, Regal Borders and Pockets, and the one I usually get after is this one here. And the Ornate Border and Pockets, those of you that follow me know I love this top one. So, but there is variety. You don't have to use the same trims all the time that I do. There's other varieties in here that you can do. Alrighty, that's it for materials. You are going to need your scoring board, paper cutter. You're going to want your ruler, a craft knife for sure for this one, and you'll want to make sure that you have a new blade on there. Your scissors, your scoring tool, bone folder, and you're going to want pencil with eraser. And for the glossy accents, you'll want to grab an old paintbrush, one that just in case gets ruined, it isn't going to kill you. Let's get started to building our album. So we're going to review the base album pre-cuts. Now I don't know if you saw my little tutorial on this, but this is what's going to keep me organized. I have all my base album pre-cuts in here, the outside going all the way through to our page 10. So that is what's going to help me stay organized as we build this together. And if you haven't checked it out, you might want to. It might help you as well. Let's review the chipboard. We cut 2 pieces of chipboard that were 6 3/4 by 8 1/2 inches, and those were our covers. For our spine, we cut a 2 1/2 inch by 8 1/2 inch, and we labeled that spine. Tyvek. For the Tyvek, we cut 2 pieces that were 1 1/4 inch by 8 1/2 inches. We also cut for our inner pages. We cut 4 pieces that were 6 7/8 by 8 1/4. We laid this on our scoring board so we were 6 7/8 across. We scored each one at 6 3/8. We also cut 2 pieces that were 6 1/2 by 8 1/4, and we called those our inner covers. We cut a piece that was 4 1/2 inches by 8 1/4 inches, and we called that our spine cover. Our last 2 pieces to our base album were the album wrap sheets. We had a 7 3/4 inch by 10 1/2 inch, and we had a 10 1/2 inch by 12 inch. So these are the first 2 that we are going to be working with. Let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. But before we begin, so we don't get confused with which way this goes, is you should be 12 inches across this way, 10 1/2 inches tall. So I want you to put 10 1/2 at the top of this one and this one, because that's 10 1/2 tall. And that way we don't get kind of shuffled around there. Come all the way over to the side. And we're going to lay a piece of our 1/4" score tape right along the edge there. And what you're going to want to do is each time you lay score tape, or even glue for that matter, you're going to take your tool, your bone folder, your scoring tool, whatever you have, and you're going to burnish. Burnish it down really good to get all that air out from underneath. Over time, if air is caught underneath there, it can start lifting, start pulling away. And the same goes with for like your glue. You want to make sure the glue gets spread around, and so there's no lumps or air bubbles, and definitely don't want any warping. Okay, for this next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a flat edge, anything I can find, like my paper cutter here. And the flat edge is what's going to help keep us getting this on straight. So my largest piece is here, and I'm going to remove that score tape off the side. And all we're going to do is take this one now, and make sure you are 10.5 as well. I'm going to push this up against the flat edge to keep it straight, and I'm going to push this one up against the flat edge to keep it straight. And all I want to do is just come right on over that 1/4" score tape, and that should help keep straight. Then we'll burnish that down. Okay, we're going to grab our 6 3/4 by 8.5 inch, one of the covers, and we're going to place this down. What I'd like you to do is use your ruler and come in about 1 inch in from the side, and you'll also be 1 inch from the top and the bottom. We're just going to center that there, top, bottom, 1 inch, 1 inch, and so forth. And as soon as you get this straight, what I'd like you to do is draw around your piece, because otherwise once you start getting it on crooked, the rest of yours are going to go on crooked. So we're just going to use our pencil here, and we're going to draw around our piece, and this is going to make it so much easier for us when we get the score tape on our chipboard. And I think I got it on there. Yep, I do. So that's what you should have. All right, let's grab our spine piece. But the first thing that we want to do is grab our ruler, and from the edge here, we are going to measure over 3/16 and make a pencil mark. That 3/16 is our spacing. We're doing an album wrap, so we have to have a spacing. If we weren't wrapping the album, we could just push them right on up next to each other and go from there, but we do. So I'm just going to find that little line I made, make sure I'm straight, and I'm going to make sure that when I do my pencil, it's straight along the bottom here with the other piece as best I can. I'm all crazy with my pencil. Whoops, as you can see. Get out of there. So I have that down. Next we're going to do our measure over 3/16 one more time from the edge of your spine piece. And we'll grab our cover, and we're going to line that up, trying to keep straight. And you may have more over on this side than you do the other, but that's okay. It's all going to get covered. That just gives us a little bit of a leadway anyway, just in case you're wanting to do just a little bit more spacing in between, but I think what I got us at will be fine. Plus I'm going to be showing you a technique that might be helpful. If you ever got the album splits before on your edges, I'll be showing you a technique to help you avoid that. So right now all I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of my face here. We'll grab our 2 chipboard covers and our spine. I'm going to grab my 3/8 inch score tape. So the first thing that you're going to want to do with your chipboard covers is go around the outside like a picture frame. You'll also do that with your spine piece, and this is our chipboard. All right, on one of these we're going to go one down the middle. This is going to be our cover, and we're going to go on either side because we're going to need that extra bit. For the back cover, we don't need as many because we're not holding a lot of weight on the back. So we're just going to go one down the middle and one on either side. Whoops, I'm all cattywampus here. For the spine, all we need to do is place 2 strips, so 2 in between those. All right, let's take a moment and burnish down that score tape really good. So this is what we will be doing. We're going to start with our cover, the one with the most, the front cover. This is the one with the most score tape. We're going to remove that score tape and we're going to place it right inside that square rectangle actually, that we created. Next, once you have that one down, you'll remove the score tape off the spine and you are going to place that right in the spine, that little square, so you have your spacing there. And then the last for the back cover, we'll be placing that right here. So I got my final piece down here, my chipboard. Let's flip this over and we are going to burnish from this side, making sure all that score tape is down. If you're just watching the video and you're kind of curious about it, you're thinking about making this album, let me tell you that even beginners can make these albums. The way I teach, and you'll see that, is a step-by-step process. And I do cater to the beginners and I do give extra information to the beginners so that they understand the process and how things kind of come together. Now, one thing is everybody who creates their own mini albums and do these tutorials, they have their own binding system or their favorite binding system that they use. Some of them wrap, some of them don't, and some of them have other techniques. So what I'm teaching is what I like to do that I know that stays together and comes out very nice and clean looking. Okay, so the next step we want to do is we're going to grab those Tyvek strips before we do anything else. Let's grab both of those Tyvek strips. And we're going to lay our 3/8 inch score tape along each side, and we'll go, we can go one down the middle as well. Let's do that. So we'll do that with our other piece too. All right, we got that on. Let's burnish. Now, one thing about Tyvek, it's going to want to go all over the place on you. It's a very strange material, but yet it's very hard to tear. You may have even seen Tyvek on the side of houses that are being built. They use it there. All right, so this is the most easiest part. All we're going to do, and we're going to do this together, is remove our score tape backing off one of our pieces. And I try to create these tutorials so it's like we're in the same room. I try not to gab too much, just try to get to the point. But I try to have fun too while I do these because I enjoy this and I enjoy teaching. So right down here at the edge, what we're going to do is we're going to place our Tyvek and it's going to go completely over our spacing. And if you don't get it straight up and down, that's okay. We're not going to see this. And once you have it down, we're just going to burnish, and you can even run this down, but not too hard in there. So the next one is removing the score tape, and we're going to do the same thing over here. We'll burnish, and then we can move on to our next step. One thing I want to point out with Tyvek, sometimes when you're cutting strips, you may find a seam like this. Do not freak out over it. The piece is still very usable. Just tack it down with a little glue here, the seam, and no harm done there. So definitely don't throw it away. That would be very wasteful when you can just glue down part of that seam. It's not going anywhere. What it's doing is it's going to keep our covers and spine from releasing, ever pulling apart from each other. We're going to move on now to this. So let's grab, because we're going to get ready here to wrap our album. So let's start with the 3/8 score tape. Let's just go right here, right underneath the lip of your chipboard. Let's just run it all the way around like a picture frame. Then what we're going to do is lay it again, going all the way around. So we'll take a moment to do this. Okay, the next step is going around the outside. Now one thing is right here, we are going to be clipping this off. So you don't have to go all the way to the edge there if you don't want to. Now, as you can see, I have quite a bit of a hangover here. I can put this on and trim it more if I wanted to. I'm really not going to worry about it, to be honest. With that big of a gap, though, I am going to just lay an extra little piece of score tape in there. Alrighty, let's go ahead and burnish our piece. And we are not ready to wrap just yet. What we're going to do is try to condition the edges so that when we do wrap these over, less chance of this getting what they call the splits. So first thing is you can run your tool right like this, but what you're going to want to do is just put your finger under one of the flaps like this. Now get your tool under there and go and press until you hit your chipboard. Just run it a few times there. I didn't get that part. Okay, once you've done that, now you take your tool and just go like this. Okay, we're going to continue to do that all the way around on each one of these. So just kind of help it get started there. Get your tool under there and just kind of help it push up against the chipboard a bit. And then we'll just kind of go like this. Now do not worry about anything looking warpage, because when we pull it down with the score tape, it's going to be just fine. You're not going to really see any of that because it's going to get covered once we wrap. Okay, let's continue on working our flaps all the way around. Once you've worked all your edges like that, we're going to grab our scissors. Now, I'm going to start with a regular corner over here. So right here is the edge of my chipboard, right here at the corner. You're going to want to leave a 1/8 inch spacing out from that. So just enough spacing, and then you're going to clip on it. And it doesn't matter the angle that you go. What you're wanting is just at least a 1/8 inch spacing there, so we can tuck, and it's a nice and clean wrap. So down here I have a ton of excess. So right here is the corner of my chipboard, and I'm not going to worry much there. Again, my chipboard is here, and I'm just going to cut. If you're not exactly 1/8, you get a little bit bigger gap, it's fine. I just eyeball mine anymore. Alright, we're going to start with wrapping the sides in, and then we'll pull down the top. I'm going to release that score tape on the side here. And if you have any that is kind of going over there from down here, you can just kind of pull that back out of the way. And we're going to wrap. Now you don't pull and tug your paper over, you just kind of let it naturally come on over. And after what we did with the technique of helping the paper, that should make it so you don't have any splits over there along that edge. Alright, so this is where your tool is going to come in handy, and you can use your finger too, but we got the sides in. Let's take off the score tape down here. What you can do is, first off, you can use your nail and kind of push in. Push in, just like I did there, you see? And I'll show you it this way. Just kind of tuck that right on in there. Okay? Another way, and I'm going to show you using your tool, is easier too, where you can just come around the edge and follow it around. And it should tuck it in for you as well. Okay? So once you have that, then we're just going to pull this up. And I like to kind of start in the middle and work out. And then we can use our tool and burnish. Now, if you get any pokies over here from the wrap, you can use this flat edge here of your tool and mash it down so it isn't so pokey looking. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to demonstrate again with my tool. So I'm holding this down with my finger. I'm taking this and I'm just going around the edge and tucking that down. Over here the same, and just tucking that down. And then just fold this over. Okay, before we go any further, this is where we get to test our album to see if we got any splits here, here, and here, and hopefully nobody gets the splits. It just happens. It's just too tight of a wrap to the grain of the paper, whatever. So, okay, so what you want to do is place your hand where it's on the spine and on your back cover, and you will, or the front cover, whichever way you want to go first, and you will pull this up slowly. Okay? Your album is not meant to fly over all the way over here. If you do that, you'll definitely get the splits, but it won't hurt the album to go like this. You just don't want it to touch down over here, okay? Or push too far. And we'll do the same thing. We'll put our hand over here and slowly lift up. And by using the score tape, you should not get any bubbling effect like sometimes you would get with using glue. So there is our album, and remember the back is where the seam is on the back of your album, and the front cover does not have a seam. We need to get our spine cover on, and all we're going to be doing is placing, this whole thing's going to be covered with score tape, because what's going to happen is this is going to lay down here centered top to bottom. And the reason why score tape, you have to have lines next to each other all the way across, is because this is going to be, this spine cover is going to be carrying quite a bit of weight from your hinges for your inner pages. So glue I would never use at this point unless you are very experienced and you've been doing glue and not having an issue. But other than that, I won't use glue ever with any spine covers, or just because when you start folding in too, it could bubble up. So score tape is what we need here, and the first thing that I like to do with a lot of placing of my score tape is we're going to go all the way around the outside like a picture frame. And if you have any overhang, we definitely have to clip it off because it will show. And if it does show a little, one thing that is going to start happening is dust. Dust will go right to it. And so when you're cleaning your album with a feather duster or whatever, it's going to look dirty there at any overhang of score tape. Okay, so all we have to do now is lay our score tape side by side until this is completely covered. If you end up having a small little space, you can always put your 1/4 inch in there. I have mine completely covered, and I'm going to grab my album. If you laid your piece down, you will notice that you will have, if you centered it top to bottom, you will have your black cardstock from the album wrap, space and you will have another space. That is what you want, because you want to put this evenly in between the top and the bottom, so you'll have a little head space, little bottom space. Most importantly, if you were to just pull this up, you'll see that you'll be able to cover both of your Tyvek covers. But this also is our guide for our pages and hinges. So I've got mine on. If you get it up a little farther than the bottom, as long as you have just a little bit of space, you're okay. And we are going to burnish this very good, because in a moment we're going to pull up the sides. If there's any air trap and everything, you'll see it. So I have that down, and I'm going to slowly pull it in. And you should have, this should not bubble up, it should be flat. And then we'll pull in this side. So we have our pages to still put in, and we also have our inner covers. So let's start with our pages. You're going to have 4 pieces that are 6 7/8 by 8 1/4, and we scored those. What we're going to do is fold on those score lines, and we'll use our tool on each one of these. Then we're going to take our 3/8 inch score tape, and with the peak up, we're going to get that little that tab right there. That's our hinge. We're going to lay our score tape right in there, and we're not going to get that on our score line whatsoever. And if you have any little bit of overhang, even a little teeny bit, you'll definitely want to clip that off. And this is very important, burnish, because this is how our pages will sit in the book. So let's finish up by folding and placing our score tape on there. Again, it's going to be peak up, and we'll lay our score tape. I have all the score tape on my hinges here, and I'm going to quickly show you before we do this together. Now notice our spine cover here is 8 1/4 inches. You'll notice that this is 8 1/4 inches. So this is what's going to help us stay straight by lining up the bottom with the bottom of our spine cover. So to get the first one on, we will be lifting this straight up. We'll remove the adhesive, and we will just press it right on up against the spine, making sure that we are even with the bottom. It's very simple, this hinging system, and it's pretty sturdy, so it stays. So I'm just going to lift that up, and I'm going to press that in the little nook there and set my first one. So I have that in, and all I'm going to do now is burnish that down really good. Flip my page over and burnish. We'll grab the second one. And this is so easy, because now all we have to do is press this up against the little edge there, line it up with the bottom, and press. And that is how all of them are going to be going into the book until we don't have any more. And I'll press it up against, make sure I'm lined up, and press. And my last one. I will press it up against and lay it. So now you will see that they kind of all fall in line together. And what you should have is an even spacing, about 1/2 inch in between. So there is our album base. Now the only thing that we have left now is very easy, and they are our 6 1/2 by 8 1/4 inner covers. And this is just so it looks nice. And what we're going to do on each one of these, and I'm going to do it on the side that I have writing, I'm going to go around the outside edge with my score tape like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to place this. And when I place this, it's going to be even with the spine cover here that came onto the cover. So it all matches in. And it will be even. It'll look really nice. So let's do that. All right, line it up at the bottom there. And I think that is good right there. And then all we have to do is burnish. So we'll go ahead and do the back page just like this. Remove our score tape and place it. And make sure that you are not on your spine, the hinge there. I got mine down. We are now done making our base album. Let's move on to decorating the outside. Before we go over our outside pre-cuts for the little birdhouse and the fence of chipboard that we have, we're first going to get our paper on the front, spine, and back. So in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. On the back, it looks like this. And you'll also find this print. And on the back, it looks like this. So first off, we're going to put these on our paper cutter and take off these trim pieces. You do not need to save these little trim pieces here. And we're just going to do the same cut. So to make sure that we have the same leftovers, I'd like you to turn this over. And we're just going to place these two together. Now, one thing I do is try to stay consistent on how I tell you to measure over. So I usually start over here and tell you to measure over this way. Instead of me having you going this way, that way, all over the board, it's easier. So once you have your paper like this, we are going to turn it sideways. Now we're going to measure over 8 3/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have. Now what I'd like you to do to help you stay organized is these are going to be going in what I call a reserve pile. That's our scrap pile. Sorry about Sissy barking in the background there. And our reserve pile is a pile of our scraps that we frequently get into. So we'll just make a pile for that. And you should have a separate pile for your black cardstock after all your pre-cuts. Alright, so this is what we have. We're just going to double it up and look at it like this. We're now going to measure over 6 5/8 inch and cut. This is what we should have, and these two smaller pieces go in our reserves. Alright, we'll cut for the spine in just a moment here, but what I'd like you to do, and you're looking at your front does not have the seam on it, is if you were to place this down and center it, that would give you a nice black border all the way around. And same goes for this piece on the back. So we're going to be placing score tape, and I'm just going to flip these right on over. This is my cover, this is my back. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape, and what we're going to do is line it all the way around each one like a picture frame to start. The next thing we're going to want to do, because we do have the Dritz closure, is we're going to need to put another line of your score tape. So this would be the front cover at the top, so right over here. So on this side, we're going to put another row of score tape so that when we do attach the metal Dritz, it's going to be held down and the paper won't buckle up on you. Now for this one, we're going to do it along this side. Next, for your cover, we're going to go 1 down the middle and 2 on each side because it's going to be carrying the weight of the chipboard, birdhouse, and fence that's magnetically going to open and close. So let's just be on the safe side here that this gets down. Now for our back, we don't need to do as much. So the back, we're just going to put one down the middle there and one on either side. And then we're going to make sure we don't have any score tape hanging over. We'll clip it if we do, and then we're going to burnish this down really good. So let's do that. We're ready to place our paper. So if it's easier for you, what you can do is grab your album, split it down the middle, and lay it down. And this is my cover, front cover, so I'm going to remove my score tape, and I'm going to place it right there in the center, leaving a black border all the way around. And then what we'll do is we're going to flip this over. Remember, the double side needs to come over here. So we'll do the same thing and place that. Now when you place this one, just try to keep it even with how much headroom you have on each side. But if you get it in there accurately spaced out where you are even top to bottom and everything, you're going to be just fine. So I'll place mine and show you just how easy this is. Of course, sometimes paper gets away from us and it's not so easy to get it on straight. But I will say this, is that once you get all your other components on there, the chances of anyone noticing that you got it on a little crooked, they're really not going to notice. They're going to be more drawn to what you got going on here. So I'm going to place this, and I'm going to try to keep my head out of the video because that is an issue. And I'm just going to try and get this on straight. And then I'm going to burnish this down. All right, that's all there is to it. Let's remove our score tape, and we're going to place that as well. Grab this piece out of your reserves, and you'll notice that it has the little flowers down here, and on the back it looks like this. So we're just going to flip it around to where the flowers are now at the top left hand corner. We're going to measure over 2 5/8 inch and cut. So this is what you should have. And if we flip it down to where the flowers are where they're supposed to be, we should be able to be even with the top and bottom and glue this down. However, you'll want to use, at least for me, the score tape, because then I know for sure it's getting those edges. So all we're going to do here is go around the outside like a picture frame. And then we will center 2 in between these. Once we have that, we are going to remove the score tape and place it. Now one thing is sometimes it's very hard to see exactly where those hinges are going to be when placing this. I like just put my album up. It's easier though if you split your album and place it down. And I'm going to show you that way. So you see where your hinges are here. You're just going to get this right in the middle there. Keep it between those lines as best you can anyway. Make sure you get those edges around there pretty good. So this is what you should have. And I think that looks really good. Now, I'm not quite done because I do want to add some purple to the back. Pull this back out of your reserves. It's the cutting off of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm looking at it like where these squares are there. I'm just going to come over to the purple little stripe there, and I'm going to cut this all the way down on my paper cutter. And I'll show you what mine looks like. That is what mine looks like. Now for this, if you don't want to put your score tape on it, you don't have to. You can use your glue. But all we're going to do is we're going to come back over here and we're just going to place that evenly over that piece so that it's layered over it and you get some of that purple on the back. It matches in. So now when you turn your album, it's more apt to matching up. In your reserves, you will find this long strip. And what we're going to do is place this on our paper cutter. And just to the left of this, we're just going to line it up with this purple line, and we are going to cut that all the way down. So this is what you should have. Let's put that back in our reserve. Now, I want to cut out and around this piece and have it gradually come on down here so that when I do place it down, it looks really cool. So I'm going to do a little bit of a fussy cut around this, and then I'm going to show you what mine looks like. So this is what I did to mine. And this is something I'm just going to apply my glue, and I'm just going to make sure this all gets glued down right here. So let's get to that. Make sure you get your little, if you did some of these on yours when you're fussy cut, make sure you get those so they don't snag up on you. And there that is. All right, it is time to go over our outside, decorating the outside of the album pre-cuts. And what you will have is a series of chipboard pieces and even a black hinge. So let's go over this one. You should have a 6x6 piece of chipboard. We called it the Birdhouse. You should have 2 pieces that were a 1/2 inch by 4 inch, and we called it the house trim. You will have 2 pieces that are a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and we called those the fence. But then you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that are the same length, and they are a 1/2 inch by 4 3/8, and we called that the fence. Okay, so those all, the fence pieces, they all go together. The birdhouse trim, that's going to go in a separate pile. Okay, so let's put those in their own little pile. There was also this piece, and it's not chipboard, it was cardstock. It is 1 1/4 inch by 6 inch, and we called it the Birdhouse hinge. What we did was we laid this on our scoring board, and we scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch on that one. You can set that off to the side for now as well. The one that we're going to be working with is the 6x6 Birdhouse. To make this easy, grab your score tape. It matters not if you have your 1/4 inch or your 3/8. They're the same. We're going to place that right in the center there. Okay, once you have that, we're going to take our pencil and we're going to draw around the inside of the circle. Like that. You're going to need your cutting mat and your craft knife. Now, if you haven't replaced your blade, you have a dull blade, definitely put a new one on. I'm going to be putting a new one on before I attempt this. And I'm going to get my cutting mat out. All we're going to do is use our craft knife, and we are going to cut out that circle. So the best way to do that is just kind of follow it along the line that you made and take your time. Don't have to put a ton of pressure the first time around. All I'm going to do is get at least that score line so that when I come back around it's easier and I don't go outside the line. Now a trick is to, once you start moving around your circle, definitely move this so it's more comfortable for you. Now if you get it all where it looks jagged or uneven, don't worry about that right now. We just want to try and get our circle out, because you can always trim up the inside to make it look better. Plus, by the time we get our paper and some of our other stuff, you may not even notice it. So I am back to where I started here, and now it's going to be easier for me to, because now when I'm going through a second time, I can actually feel it go through the mat. So once you have that and you've gone all the way down through, you should be able to have a nice hole. In your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous piece. On the back, it is this one. Let's first take off that trim piece. I got my trim piece off. I am going to turn it. I'm going to measure over 5 15/16 inch and cut. We'll put this in our reserves, and now we're going to measure over 5 15/16 and cut. Now, if you're not real savvy on measurements, 5 15/16 is a sliver under the 6-inch mark. So on the ruler, here's 6, here's 5 7/8. It would be that notch in between the two. So this is what you should have. This should be a 5 15/16 by 5 15/16. We'll just flip that over. For this one, we're going to measure over this way 5 15/16 and cut. So you have two identical pieces here. If you were to place one right on the front, that should give you just a sliver of black border around there. So this is going to be a little bit of a process. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to this, and we are going to glue it down. What I would do is put glue around this edge here. Okay, because we're not going to need the glue right in the center. And then what I would do is make sure you get these edges really good, and you can always wipe off any glue that you can see on the other side. We're just going to have to do this in steps in order to cover both, and I'm just going to do the best I can. At least I know that I got around here, and that's the biggie. So I've got glue on this, and I'm going to center it, giving myself a little bit of that black border there. Trying to get that on straight, not always easy. And then we're going to burnish, and I got mine on just a little bit off, but that's okay. And get around that circle there. All right, grab your pencil now, draw around there, and we're going to cut that out. So for me, I am going to make this easy. I'm just going to make an X first so I can get in there. And then I'll use my craft knife to go around. And also, anything that's slivered up, you can also get your scissors in to try and help you out there. There we go. Now, you can clean up around any edges that you might have down through here. One thing you can do is grab a nail file, and don't use the real rough side, but if you have a buffer side, you can kind of help it out there. But first you'll want to try and even it up as best you can. Now, you may have to where it doesn't look completely. Do not worry about it. Just try to smooth it out as best you can. We are going to flip this over. Grab your 1 1/4 by 6-inch Birdhouse hinge. Let's fold on those score lines there. Alrighty. With the peak up, grab your 3/8 inch score tape, and on each side of those score lines, we're going to place a piece of our score tape. And I'm using 3/8 inch because I want a little bit wider there. Let's remove one side. Well, first of all, you have, if we're looking at it like this, let's start over here. You have 2 score lines, okay? On that one score line closest to this, you're gonna go like this. Let's just remove the score tape on that. Okay. And we'll just flip that around. So now what you're looking at is the other side with the score tape, and you're going to see one score line, and then the edge would be the other. All we're going to do is place this even with the bottom, and you can always clip it if you get it over, because you'll want to, and line it up with the side of your chipboard. So now, as you can see, this is what you have. What we're going to do is we're going to have to place this. Do not glue it down, but I want you to get it in place to where you can still see a little black border. Now hold it, make sure it does not shift, and we're going to draw around. Okay? just like that. And to make this easier, you can put an X in the middle of that because we'll need to get our scissors in there. Okie doke. The next thing we need to do is we're going to flip it back over. Our hinge is over here, and let's grab a couple magnets, or one magnet actually. Okay, hinge is over here. Let's grab our magnet. And I need to replace the tip on my thing. All right, we're going to take our magnet and we're going to come in about 1/4 inch from the side, and we will place that. And here is our piece, and we're just going to cut along that circle. And I like to put slices whenever I do that. It just makes it easier. Once you have this, what we're going to do is we will apply glue. And again, you may want to get around that circle with your glue to help so it doesn't flip up. We're going to apply glue, and then we're going to make sure, I like to get around my magnet, that when we place it, we are centered. If you see through from when we flip this over the other side, we can always clean that up. So no worries about that. We're just going to try and get this on here. Getting around that circle. Now we're going to, before we have any trimming, we're going to flip this over and make sure that you can't see any of the back side of this paper through the other side. But I do recommend we let our glue dry before we do that. And as you can see a little bit of that going through. So I'm going to allow this to dry, and then I'm going to use my knife, and that is what's going to clean me up around the edges there. Next, grab your dauber and your seedless preserves. And this is the inside, and this just helps clean it up too for anything. And we're just going to go around that circle there, okay? And we'll do that on the outside as well. So it kind of does that. On the inside, I went darker and I went lighter and kind of blended it out with my paper. We're ready to place this. Let's open up our album, split it down the middle. And what's going to happen is you see you have that other score line here. That we're going to just push on, because what that is our spacing in there. And when we place it just like this, it's going to look really good. So on the one closest to your score tape, we're going to pinch on that. And we'll remove the score tape backing. We're not going to worry about the mate to that magnet just yet. But what I want you to do is fill your magnet, okay? And we're going to shift it over more to the right than to the left. So I'm just going to try and get that on straight. As straight as I can without getting my head in the video. And then we can open that up and burnish. In your reserves, you will have this piece. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to measure over 1/2 inch and cut. So you should have a long, skinny strip, 1/2 inch strip of that purple print. We'll measure over 6 inches and cut, and then we're going to lay it right in here, right on top of that, without getting it on the score hinge. I got mine cut. I'm going to place glue, and I'll place that down right there. Now, if you have any binder clamps or little ratchet clamps, this is where you might want to grab it. I'm going to open this up. Now, the Dritz side closure, you'll have 2 pieces. One is flat and one is the hook. So this is the eye, this is the hook. We do not attach the hook yet, but we use it to measure. And I am going to prop this up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to open this up. On the flat, we are just going to add some glue. Okay? Not all the way up here because that's going to hang out. And I'll just shut this. I'm going to try and get that as centered as I can, but I'm going to place this. Now I can maneuver this while it's still wet. All I'm looking to do is be able to place this in without any problem. So I'll move it in until I feel that's a good fit. Okay. And that looks good. Prop this up as best I can without messing up my pages. Your clamp, your binder clamp works good, or your little ratchet clamps, but we're going to clamp that down and we're going to allow our drits to dry. This other piece, we will tackle it at the end of the tutorial when it's time. While our drits is drying, and it should only take about 5 minutes, let's tackle the fence pieces. Make sure you don't have the house trim. That we will do after we get our magnet and everything in place there. So I had these separated. You have two that are longer than the other, and they're 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. And then we have 5 pieces here that are 1/2 by 4 3/8. So what we're going to do to make this very easy is we're going to lay our paper down on here first, and then we will clip them. In your paper pack you will find this print. On the back it looks like this. So first what I'd like you to do is take off that top trim piece. Alright, the print that's going to be showing up is this, but I don't want us to cut into certain pieces here. So we are going to be flipping this upside down so the tags are upside down over here. I'm going to have you measure over 4 different times, 1/2 inch and cut, 1/2 inch and cut, and 2 more times at 1/2 inch and cut those strips. After you cut your strips, you should have 4, of course. 2 of them are going to have this color, and 2 will have this color. So let's take 2 of these, one that has this trim and one that has that. I'm just going to double mine up. It makes it so much easier. I'm going to measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. Measure over again 4 3/8 inch and cut. So this is what you should have. The smaller end pieces go in our reserve. We need one more that is that size. So don't double up, but I'm going to take this one. Measure over 4 3/8 and cut. Alright, so we have 5 pieces at 1/2 inch and 4 3/8. That piece that that was left over, oh, I don't know. What do I want to do with that? We're going to put that in our reserves. That's a good trim piece. Now grab this full one. What you're going to do is measure over 5 1/4 inch and cut. Measure over again 5 1/4 inch and cut. These two belong to these. So what we're going to do is, with the side that we wrote on it in pencil, we're just going to start applying glue and gluing these right on top of our pieces here. On all of them. On all your pieces here, what you can do is, if you didn't get it on straight, flip it over and trim off any overhang, because the back side won't have any paper on it. Your last two your 2 pieces that are the longest, just set them off to the side. All we're going to work with right now is our shorter pieces, our 5. Now what I want you to do is come and clip at an angle to the middle point. So there's 1 and there's 2. So now I have the top. Now what you can do is line these up and use that first one as a template and start cutting the rest of yours. So we're going to do that with each so that they all come out fairly the same there, and clip them. So let's continue on and get these all ready to go. I've got all mine down, we've clipped. Now what we're going to do on each one of these is take our ruler and line up from the tip down to 1 inch and make a pencil mark. And we'll do this on each one of these. Once you have those all done, and by the way, I am arranging these so I have this one, and then the flowered one, and then I have this one, the flowered one, and then this one. Grab your ruler because this is what's going to help you stay straight. Now, placing your first one down on the ruler, let's just start with putting it at the 2 inch mark, the side over here at 2 inch. Okay, the next one, let's put that at the 3 inch. The next, the side goes at the 4. We got 5, and we got 6. Okay, so we're even spaced here. Now let's grab our 2 flowered fence pieces, the long ones. While I have my ruler down, this will be really easy. I'm going to line this up. And at 3/8 inch, I'm going to put a little line here. And on my other one as well, 3/8, put a little line. Okay, we will be clipping this up, but let's just get this all where it needs to be here. Okay, your first one, remember how we have that little piece? And these are going to want to get away from you. But what's going to happen, and we can move the ruler here in just a moment, but we're going to apply glue, and I'll show you. See that line? So we're just going to do a little bit there, going down about a 1/2 inch because that's our width on our first one. We're going to take that little line we made, and it's going to line up with the side of our fence so that we can get this on straight. There's my first one. Okay? So I have that on there. What you can do to make this easier now is to place your glue. Do about a 1/2 inch. You can wipe up any excess. Where did my line go? Here it is. We'll wipe up any excess here. And we will put these back to where they were. 3, 4, and if you'd rather do it a different way, I think it's easier for me to get these straight by lining them up on the ruler there and putting this one back at the 2, but this should help me get these on straight. And again, we are clipping the bottom, so no worries there if you're uneven. Okay, our second one. For your second one, at the top of this fence up here, place your ruler, and you're going to come down to 1 3/8. So now it's fairly easy. Once you have it straight there, just draw your lines, and you can place your glue. And you'll just make sure that this is even with that. Maneuver it. Now it's going to look kind of funky with these up higher, but we do have to clip these, so the bottom. Alright, it is time to bring this up and mark where we want to clip. And I'm going to be bringing it up a little bit there, and I'm going to press down. Now I do want the back side of this, I don't want to line it up exactly with this covering the edge, so I'm going to bring it up just enough to where I can see the 6x6 panel. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a pencil mark. So there's one that ran off on me. There's 2. Drawing. And I need to clip off a little piece there. Let's see how I did. Now fences don't have to be exactly accurate, but I think that, let me hold this up so I can see what I'm doing here. But I think that that is going to look really good. And you can still see the bottom part of my panel there. So now what we're going to do is glue this down. And you're going to have to be careful, and after you're done gluing this part down, no glue under this part, of course, because it'll get on your backside. But you do know that you can start it here, and that's really not going to touch anything. So I'm going to get right in here because I know that this is my place that is going to be touching. And I don't want to go all the way to the tip because that hangs over the window. So I'm going to do it just like that and just a little bit under my fence here. And then I'm going to place it. And I'm going to pull this up a bit so I can see what I'm doing. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so once you have it down, do press for sure, and then we're going to immediately open it up and get off any of that glue that you can see. So that is what we have so far for our cover. And I'm going to open this back out. Now, for the mate to this, now we may need to shim, and that's where some of these little cuttings may come into play. So I'm just going to keep one handy there. Let's grab a magnet here and let it find its mate over here. Now, one thing is we may have to shim. So what I'm going to do is remove the backing off this, because this is how I'm going to get it on to where it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to pull this over, make sure I'm straight, and I'm going to press. Now my magnet fell right here. I don't need to shim. If it falls on your drits, that's where you can put a little piece underneath the lip. Cut a little piece and glue it down. So this is all good. It's snapping, it's catching, it's working. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it is this. Let's stick this on our paper cutter. And what we're after is this. But what we're going to do is come up to the side of this panel and just cut straight on down. Once you do that, go ahead and cut to divide. This is what we want right here. What you're going to want to do, this is not in your pre-cuts, but I thought that this would look nice. Cut a piece of 3 7/8 by 4 3/4 black cardstock. And once you've done that, I want you to apply glue to this, and you are going to place that right in the center there so that the black accents this piece. So let's glue those down and definitely burnish that down. I've got mine glued down. Now where this goes is right behind here. So when I glue this down, it's going to be pulled over to where I see the flowers over here. So this is where it's supposed to be. I'm just going to turn that so I can kind of see where it belongs. And once I get the glue on, I can maneuver it quickly before it dries. And there we have it. For this, we'll want to cover it, your magnet. When we were cutting out our circles, I had done an X, and I actually ended up with a little flower that I can just cut right around. And just use what you have. It does not need to be perfect, but it'll look fine right like this. And you can bring it over to where it covers that drits. Now also on those little cuttings where I had cut an X in here is another piece as well, and you can always kind of stagger them too and fussy cut around. But I'm going to leave mine like this, and I may even have us cover it even better when we're done here. Just don't bring it over so far that you cover up your thing. And let's see what we have. Okay, in your reserves, this is perfect. You will find this piece. On the back, you will see "You Brighten My World." That is perfect. Let's cut that out. And you may want to put this on the paper cutter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back it to some black cardstock to really help this sentiment pop. So I'll just glue it down to one of my scratch pieces. And I'll leave a little teeny bit of black showing around the edges. You have this. Apply glue to the back, and we're just going to place this right like this. And when you close it, you should not be able to see the side of it. But I think that'll look really good right like that. And I'm going to center mine on my little piece there. Remember when I said you can fussy cut some little pieces, even with a circle, if you had a little cut-off piece? And you can actually just add more to make it look better. Layering. And it looks like it's supposed to be there. Looks good to me. Let's close this up. And I'm going to set this off to the side. And we're going to do a quick little tutorial on the flowers. So one of the things I want to do is make a little flower template so you know which flower I'm using. Instead of saying extra large, large, medium, whatever, let's just number these. So what I did was I stamped my image going this way and then the other flower image going this way. The largest one is 1, this is going to be 2, this will be 3, and these two are the same, and they will be 4, so that you can identify when I'm layering, or if you're interested in knowing what size flowers I'm using, you will have this. So I'm just going to pin this up in front of me here on the wall. For our cover flowers, I'm going to show you really quick how to achieve these. Now this is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not sure if you can actually tell the color, but it has the glossy accent, so you can see how it's kind of glossed up. And I got my pearls inside there, and we've got several layers there, as you can see. The next flower we're going to be making is this one. This is absolutely pretty. This one is done with Dusty Concord, and we've got several layers, plus we also have a layer of greenery underneath, and I've got my glossy accents on there. And then we're going to make this little guy, and as you can see, you've got different colors in there. I've also got some greenery back behind, but this one kind of flops up for you, and we'll have a couple leaves. So let's begin. I'm going to move these out of the way, and we're going to do some inking. And if this isn't your cup of tea, if you don't need this part of the tutorial, then you could skip ahead for where we lay them. Now remember, we made a template. We've got different size flowers, and they are numbered. Okay? If you haven't done that, you may want to do that. So I'm going to leave this here for just a moment. Of course, this is the largest, the next size, and then you have the stamp with 3 on it. And of course, these two have the 2 on it. So what we're going to start with is our seedless preserves. And I'm going to back this up a bit so you can see my mess here. And you're going to need your squeezed lemonade. And these two are what makes up this flower that we're currently going to work on right now in these sizes. So we're going to grab our squeezed lemonade, and we're going to need 2 of the number 1 size. And this is really easy, and you'll want to ink before you die cut on these. So here's one, and I'm going to swirl it around and just slightly up on to the center. Up on the leaves, sorry. So I've got 2 of my largest here. Next, we're going to grab our seedless preserves. And we're also going to need 2 of our smaller, so we might as well get that out of. So we're going to need 2 of our number 2 size. So we'll just get those 2 while we're at it. Make this much easier. Okay. Seedless preserves. So what I want you to do is right on the tips, we're going to go dark, very dark on the tips all the way around this flower. So we're going to do that with those two. I've got all mine done. Now what you're going to want to do is take your dauber, here's one of our largest, and we're just going to swirl it around now in the center and slightly overlap on some of the yellow. And again, this is so easy. And we'll do it over here. Just lightly blend in those colors. That's all you need. Now I'm going to die cut these out really quick. Oh, by the way, how many of you would like to learn how to use the die cutting machine that have been intimidated by using dies and so forth? In the comments below, let me know you're here. Maybe let me know, yes, I'd be interested to see what kind of machine you use, how your techniques are, what do you do? It's very simple, but I can see how it can be kind of intimidated because years ago I was very intimidated. The first thing I'm going to tell you before we get started is never judge your flower until you are done assembling it. It will look quite different until you've got it shaped and assembled. So I have my stylus and I am using a smaller and a slightly larger nib here. And I'm going to flip this over. It's very well loved. So we're going to start off with the number 1 flower, our largest one. And I'm going to use the slightly larger nib on there. So all I'm going to do is turn it over, and I'm just going to put a little pressure at the tip and watch how it rolls in. And I'm going to do this all the way around my flower. See how easy that is? Hey look, bunny ears. And I don't even want to say what that looks like. Here we go. Alright, so you have your flower shaped in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to carefully turn that right on over. Okay? You don't want to get any caught underneath there. So this is good. We're going to switch to the smaller size, and we're just going to roll right around in that center, right around the edges there. There is our first layer. Look how easy, and it pops right up. Now one thing is in the past, before I bought my tools many years ago, is I tried to get away with using a mouse pad. It doesn't work, okay? I tried using chopsticks to shape. It doesn't do the same job. You're just gonna be frustrated and not get what you want. So I do recommend buying a good set of tools. Let's grab our next number 1 flower, switch to the large head, and we're going to do the same thing. And once we get this one done, we're going to be doing the same thing with our next 2 pieces. And for a lot of the flowers in this tutorial, we'll be using this technique. And feel free to experiment with different colors, just whatever you would like. There's no right and wrong here. Just try to match your ink up best to the paper, and I found I like these colors. So here we are again, and in the middle we're just going to swirl until it pops up. So let's do the same thing with these 2. I have all mine shaped. Now you can use your regular glue, or if you have a hot glue gun handy and you're quick about it, you can use that, and I'm going to use that for quick tacking for this tutorial. So I have my 2 number 1 flowers right here. I'm just going to pull one over, put a little glue, and I'm going to try to offset this, and then what I can use is my tool to push it down. Just pat that in there. Okay, next I'm going to grab one of my number 2 flowers, and I'm going to layer that in too. Now I'm going to use the small end of my tool now to press it all down. And then last but not least, here we go, we're going to layer that in again. We're just going to push that right on down in there. And that's with the pad. Now you don't want to be pushing it down on your thing. You need that cushion. So here is our flower. Now it may look quite different from this one. That's because we don't have our glossy accents on it yet. So there are different ways for applying your glossy accents. Your glossy accents will come with a nozzle here that can get clogged. And that's why I prefer using a brush. If I need a little extra, I'll come back and do it. But let me find a scratch piece of paper that I was working on. And we'll get this one going. And we can remove our mat. So what I like to do is take some of my glossy accents and squirt it. Now this stuff will start drying fast. All I'm going to do is start trying to get my underneath layers of my flowers first, and then the next layer. So I'm just going to go around my flower, and if two are sticking together, you can always lift it up. Now, glossy accents is a medium. It's very sticky, and it will dry non-sticky and dry clear. Now, once you have this on, if you feel that your petals or whatever, you can actually kind of shape them, not with your tool, you'll get it all messy and stuff, but you can also bring them in like this with your brush. Kind of push them back up so they come up, and you're getting your layers. And I think I got this pretty good. Now what I was saying about this, if you feel you need to get some more on there, you can just use your nozzle, maybe for the ends or whatever you want to have extra for glossing. And you can just do that. Now once you have applied this, I recommend setting it off to the side, give it time to dry. So we'll be putting our prills in here shortly. This is what it looks like without, which is quite pretty too, but I do like adding my prills. So I'm going to let that dry. Stick that off to the side. Now, really quick, what I want to do is tell you how I achieved this on the leaves. And what you're going to want to do is take your peeled pink, your darker green, and you're going to, and you can like die cut out several. We do use quite a bit of the leaves. So after you stamp it in your darkest color, what you're going to do is come back with your dark color and get around those edges dark, and maybe a swipe in the middle dark, and then just blot the color on. Then you'll come back with your crushed olive, and you will blot some of that more lighter green on there. And then you just apply your glossy accents. I will not be shaping these. I'm going to be leaving these flat. And for the cover, you're going to need two of them. Let's talk about this flower right here. And I'll bring it up so you can see. I'm not sure if you can see from the light, but this is the Dusty Concord. And the same technique of coloring them will apply. And you also, if you notice, I have the green leaves down here. Now what I ended up doing for that is we're going to need 2 of our number 1s, and we're going to want 2 of our number 2s for the purple color. We're going to want 1 that is going to be all green. So let's start with our peeled paint for the green one. All we're going to do is just color around on it. Okay, so it's mostly green under there. I'm going to grab a little crushed olive and just do some blotting. Okay, that one's ready to die cut, and I'll do that when it's time. Let's work on our number 1s and our number 2s. And again, we're going to need a total of 4. Let's grab our Dusty Concord and our squeezed lemonade for this. Same thing, we're going to go around the center with our yellow and slightly move it out onto some of the petals there. It's the exact same inking that we did for our other flower. So we're going to go on the tips, very dark, on all of the flowers. I got that done. Now I'm just going to swirl, and you'll see it's a lighter color, just like that. And there we go. Alrighty, let's die cut all of these out. So I have my die cuts, the green, and we're not going to shape that. That will be put on my scratch piece. We have 2 of our number 1s, and here are our number 2s. What you're going to want to do on the back of these is just, and it's easier if you use a scratch piece underneath, just to lay them down there. And we're just going to lightly get some color on there. Okay, take your squeezed and just run it in the center there and swirl. Same thing here. All right, we are going to start with the inside out. Now with this, what you're going to want to do is the same technique, except for see our stuff here, that goes down. And all we do is just pull them in. And we're going to do the same with this one. And you really don't need much pressure. Okay, so there is my inside one. Let's go to this one. And on this one, we're going to do the same thing. Just pull them right on in there. And sometimes just tapping them in towards the center is just as effective. Okay, open this one up. And what we're going to do is place this one inside. So you can use your hot glue or you can use your art glitter glue. And then I'm going to press it down in the center there. Okay? Let's set that off to the side. We have 2 of our number 1s and we're going to shape those like we've done before. Let's just bring in all the petals just like we did on our other flower. Once you roll them all in on your number 1s, that's when we flip them over. And I'm going to use the small head on circling around. Alright, so I have this. So all I'm going to do now is set this in the center and push down in the middle. Okay, these 2, so you can start pulling out your outer layer if you'd like. Just kind of pull out some of the outer layer ones. So it's all like that. And it's going to look all crazy right now until you get your glossy accents in and all that good stuff. Okay, so I have it like this, and I'm just going to put some glue down in the bottom of my flower. I'm going to set that, and I'm going to push it right on in. I'm going to open this up a little more so I can get in there. And now I'm going to apply my prills. And I'm going to do my prills first, and then I'll do my glossy accent, especially on this one. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue in there. Grab your prills. Now if you have a tray or a little tray to put underneath, that's great. Me, I just kind of pour it in, and it looks like there's quite a bit, and then I just kind of flop it over so that it gets back in the lid, and I just pour it in there. Okay, this is ready for your glossy accents. And all we're going to do, and I'm going to bring this out here, and you can put more in the center if you prefer. So if you didn't get enough the first time, if you see this one, this has quite a bit of prills. You can always add some more in there, glue, and dump more in. It's all according to to your taste, what you like. Glossy accents. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to start going around and with my brush, and I'm going to get this one on there first. So I'm just going to lay this down and get it on there. Alright, and then I'm going to lift it and move it off to the side. And I'll hold it from the top, and I'm just going to do the same thing, is kind of brush it around. If you want more than what your brush puts on there, then definitely use your tip to fix it. But right now what I'm doing is I'm brushing up on those so I can get the underside so it gets stiffer. Then I'm just going to use my brush to kind of press outward on some of these. And it is a good idea to let your pearls dry first. Now all we need to do is put some glue on the center, and we will press this down and let it all dry together. So here is our thing. Letting your pearls dry first is the best way to do, so you don't have to fix. I'm just trying to get this done. So this I'm going to set off to the side with the other one, and I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to put some glue in the center, drop my pearls, and dump. If you get any on the leaves, you can just take it off with your craft knife, but it's always best to let it dry first in between your applications. For this little guy, we're going to be needing green on our number 4 flower, and we're going to be needing to ink up with our preserves and yellow on 2 of the number 4 flowers, and we will need 1 number 3 flower. So I'm going to be over here. These are all done in the seedless preserves. These are done in my Dusty Concord. This one's done a little different. This is just placing ink and blending around. I need 2 that are the smallest, which are number 4. I'm just going to color them all. We're going to need 1 size up, which is our number 3, and I'm just going to color that all. Grab your peeled paint, and we are going to put it on a number 4. And I'm just going to swirl around some color there. And then I'm going to use my crushed olive to kind of blot some of that extra color on. Okay, that one's done. Seedless preserves. So this is just a matter of going over your flower dark, over on top of the yellow. So I like to first get my first color on there. Okay, and what we're trying to aim at is trying to get it darker. So I'm going to go back over with darker, and it's the seedless preserves. Okay, let's die cut these out. Well, not that one. These 2 and this. This one was left over from when I was inking up. So this is what you should have. You should have a number 3, 2 number 4s that are colored, and a number 4 that's green. On these 2, we do have to flip them over. And we will just use our seedless preserves. Now on this, actually I better go here so I don't get ink on my mat. We're going to go real light. Very light, because that is how I achieved getting those lighter pinks in there, or lighter seedless preserves. We're probably going to need to get it on this one too, so let's just ink these. Alright, we are ready to go. So here is our number 3. It's larger than these 2. And we'll just flip 1 up, down, 1 up. So that's how we're going to be shaping them. I'm going to grab the smaller nib, and I'm just going to kind of press them in here, bring them in. They don't have to be real tight on these. So you should be able to see some of your lighter color pop up there. There is that one, and we can just kind of flatten that out a little bit. It has its shape. Let's grab this one on the back, and all we're going to do is just kind of press those in. We are ready to add our glue. I'll just use this, and I will plop that right on in there. Okay. This one, the same thing. Let's just slightly give that a curve there, bring them in. You don't have to roll it all the way in. And I am going to use my hot glue. It seems to tack quicker so I can show you while you watch this. I'm going to spread these all out so I can get right in the center there. And there is our flower. Let's grab the bottom piece there, and let's grab our glossy accents. And this is much easier to do than our other ones. I'm just going to put some glossy accents right on that. And if you're doing it like that, make sure after you have put it on there that you definitely move this to a spot that isn't, because it will start sticking, that doesn't have anything underneath it. Okay, for this, let's just start doing this. I'm just pressing them out like this. Isn't that pretty? And I'm going to get the inside there. Now, we don't want them completely, so now all I'm going to do is just kind of grab that inner layer. I'll use my brush and pop it out before it dries. There is our flower. I'm going to put glue to the bottom, and I'm going to offset this onto that green so you can still see that green. Okay, I'm going to wait for my glossy accents to dry, and then I'm going to put my prills in the center. It makes more sense that way to me so it's not sticking everywhere. Alrighty, so now you've seen some basic techniques on how to use the glossy accents, how to ink some of your flowers, and during this tutorial when I do flowers on the inside, I'll try to remember to tell you what I did as far as size and if there's anything different. Open up your album so that it's lying flat. We're going to grab our leaves first, and before you glue them down, make sure that the tip of this does not go over the edge here. So I'm just going to kind of show you what I am planning on doing here. And then this one's going to come over to the side. Now if you'd like to color the back of yours so that when you flip it open it's green on the back, do so. I'm going to do that really quick. And then I'm going to place this so that this part comes almost to the top of my piece here. Next we're going to take our beautiful flower like this, and it's going to go right like this. We're going to take our large purple and we're going to glue that down right about there so you can still see through there. Now our smallest flower we're going to glue down right like that. So this is what our cover should look like. Very pretty. We are not done yet though. In your reserves you will find this piece on the back. It looks like this. So what I want to do is just cut straight up on this line here without cutting into my little scroll. And what we're going to do is cut out and around this piece. And I'll show you what mine looks like. This is what mine looks like. Now, because it's too flimsy for me just to leave it alone, I'm going to apply glue to the back of this. And I'm going to glue it down to a piece of my black cardstock. Then I'm going to cut out and around this, trying to leave just a sliver of a black outline all the way around. This is how we are going to place it. I have mine, and I'm not the best fussy cutter, but we're just going to slide that right on in there like that and glue that down. Just like that. I'm going to open it up. If I can see any glue peeking over the back side, I'm definitely going to get that up. Alrighty. Glossy accents. So for this I'm going to be very careful. For this I'm just going to dab my finger. You can use another brush, but you're just going to go over it once so you don't end up taking any of the print off by it getting too sticky. While that's drying, let's get out our sentiment sheet, and we're going to take off that trim piece. All I want to do now is cut out and around this, and then I'm going to divide these up. So for me, I want a straight line. I'm going to put this on my paper cutter, bring it down to this point, and then over, and then I'll divide. On this one here, we're going to put that in our reserves. We're going to work with the other three. What I'd like you to do is glue down these to some black cardstock. And then what you'll do is you will cut around it, leaving a little bit of a black frame. And you'll glue them together on all of these. We're going to be gluing these down. So what you're going to want to do is place these so they are even as you can. So you might want to measure up and then place in the middle. But all I'm going to do is apply glue now and put this in the center of my spine. And the edge of mine comes right to the edge of the big band of purple. So that's what's going to keep me lined up there. And this one here will go up here, and then the brighter pink will be at the bottom. And I'm going to pull this up. That looks fairly even to me. I think that that looks really pretty. I want to add a butterfly to the cover of our album, so I'm going to lay this back out. In your reserves, you will have this piece, and on the back it looks like this. I'm going to try to align my butterfly so cream in the middle and the wings have the purple. Let's see how that looks here. I think that's pretty even. Let's see what happens. Come on, where'd you go? Oh, there he is. And I can also look on the back. Wow, that's bright too. But this is what I got. That would look really pretty. However, I am going to put some glossy accents, and I'm going to put some frills in there. And I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. I'm going to first get my glossy accents out, and I'll give it and the glossy accents, what that's going to do for me is stiffen up this butterfly. So I can apply my glossy accents here, and that will help stiffen him up. Now, when this dries, I can put a little bit of glue right down the center and pour my frills on it to give him a body. And that will make him stick out even more. And then I think to stick him, oh, where do we want? I kind of like him right there. So that is where he's going to go as soon as my glossy accents dries on him and I get my frills on. Now, if you are impatient and don't want to wait, and you can also ink around the edges of your butterfly. I probably should have did this before I put the glossy on, but you can ink around your edges a little more to give it a little more purple, which is kind of pretty. And I may destroy this dauber by doing it that way. Very pretty, and you can even kind of daub some in the middle. But if you're impatient as far as frills, what you can do is put some in your palm of your hand and put some glue if you trust yourself. Okay, you can grab some tweezers and place them. So, impatient people, you can do it like that. So it's definitely going to need to dry. And I think that looks really pretty. And he is definitely going right there. And if I need to add more of my glossy accents to stiffen this guy up, I will. And I think that looks really good. We have 2 pieces left before we can move into the inside of our album. And those are the house trim. And what you're going to want to do is grab your ruler really quick, just so you can get this where it needs to be. And if you were to place this, so you were 6 inches across, just place it on the top of the ridge of the chipboard and just put a pencil mark where the 3 inches. All right, house trim. Now this will get cut down. Let's find the paper first that we need to cover it with. In your reserves, you will find this print on the back is what we are looking for. So what I'm going to do is cut the white out, and that should be side to side. And it is. If you were to just place your ruler down so that it's a 1/2 inch across that white piece there. You'll be able to make a pencil mark here and here. We'll come over to this other white piece and we will center the white trim there in between the 1/2 inch. And we'll make a pencil mark here and here. So now what we're going to do is put this on our paper cutter and cut. I have my 2 strips here. Now to make this easy, because we're going to have to do some trimming, on the side that I wrote on, I'm going to place some glue around the edges there, and I'm going to place this right on top. And then I can just flip it over and clip off the excess, rather than saying measure over. And I'm going to do the same with this one.